Welcome in everybody as we're going over our week 12 matchups here. We have a couple games on the slate here for this Thanksgiving holiday here. I want to welcome everybody in to the channel. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there watching. I'm hoping I can help you guys get some really good analysis and something that you guys can look forward to for these games on Thursday to see, okay, is there somebody we could be starting here? Is there somebody we should be benching here? So we're going to go through these games, all three games, game by game, position by position, and see what we can do for you guys. Now, the first one that we're going to talk about is the Bills versus the Lions. Now, as we look at the fantasy depth chart here at the quarterback position, we have Josh Allen and Jared Goff. Josh Allen is definitely one of those start your studs kind of guy, going against a Lions defense who's given up the most points per game to opposing quarterbacks. Josh Allen is definitely somebody you want to get to. He's a set it and forget it type of guy anyway. Already going against the Lions defense on Thanksgiving Day is just kind of like the cherry on the top. I know you're loving starting Josh Allen. I would say get him in here. Josh Allen is definitely a start this Thursday. Moving over to the other side, we have Jared Goff going against the Bills defense, giving up the 6th least points to opposing fantasy quarterbacks. There is somebody you just don't want to get to. The Lions are struggling as a team. Jared Goff, sometimes he can put up some big numbers. He can throw up 300 yards like it ain't no tomorrow, but against this Bills defense, somebody you might want to look the other way on. If you have a better option at quarterback, I'm sure if you don't have Jared Goff as your starting quarterback, if you do, you're probably at the bottom of your standings anyway. But Jared Goff, somebody you want to definitely sit on the bench. He will be a sit for me this week. Let's go ahead and move on to the running back position. We're looking at on the Bills side. We're going to look at Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is definitely dominating as he did last year for the touches on this offense at the running back position. There's nobody really going to be competing for him for touches, and that's include Nyheim Hines or even the rookie James Cook. Devin Singletary is somebody you can go against. He's going against a defense against the Lions who's kind of a middle of the pack against opposing defenses here. So Devin Singletary is somebody you probably definitely can get in your lineup if you need to. He's not somebody that would be a must start, but definitely a start, especially in your flex position for Devin Singletary. I wouldn't really bank on him being an RB1 on RB2, but somebody who can definitely put up some solid points against definitely a defense that's kind of a middle of the pack. Let's go over the other side on the lines. We're looking at DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. Now, DeAndre Swift still kind of working his way back really slow. He's a dynamic running back, but he's really just not getting the touches. And as of right now, I really think you should put DeAndre Swift on your bench. You should definitely sit DeAndre Swift. He's just not getting the touches and the reps that he needs to be viable in this offense. Now, Jamal Williams on the other side, he may be the backup to DeAndre Swift, but Jamal Williams is actually he's balling out. This guy's getting the carries. He's getting the touches. He's making it happen. Going against the running back who's giving up the 10th least rushing yards to opposing running backs. But still, Jamal Williams is somebody you can definitely put in an RB2. I would say start Jamal Williams. Let's go ahead and go over to the wide receiver positions. Start with the Bills here. We got Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Isaiah McKenzie are the main three for the Bills. We're going against a defense right now who's giving up the 6th most points per game to opposing wide receivers. Somebody you want to get a lot of. We love Josh Allen in this matchup. That means we're going to love his targets. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, get him in your lineup. Those are both starts. Isaiah McKenzie is really not getting the looks that we need to be relevant in fantasy, so I would say Isaiah McKenzie would be a sit. Let's go over to the other side to the lines. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, and DJ Chark. We have the Bills defense who's giving up the 10th most points to opposing wide receivers. Somebody you could really target in this Bills defense. Overall pretty solid, but the secondary is kind of somebody you want to stay, putting some people in. I mean, you can put some points on if you need them. Amon-Ra St. Brown would be a start for me in this matchup, but again, like I said, with Jared Goff being a sit, Khalif Raymond, DJ Chark, just not the volume, not the fantasy production you want to see. Khalif Raymond is a sit, DJ Chark is a sit. Now let's go ahead and move on to the Dawson Knox at the tight end position for the Bills. You got the Lions giving up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing defenses and against the tight end. Dawson Knox definitely a start for me, even though he may be the lower on the totem pole for me as far as the receiving options for Josh Allen. If you're in a pinch and you need a tight end, especially on a bye week fill-in, Dawson Knox could definitely be your guy. I would say start Dawson Knox. On the other side, you're looking at Brock Wright. They gave away TJ Hockenson in the trade to the Vikings. Now you got Brock Wright really being the, I guess you can say, the guy for the tight end, but just stay away. Brock Wright is a sit for me, going against a Bills defense giving up the 10th least fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Between that and just Brock Wright's just not somebody that's fantasy viable, I would definitely stay away. Now let's move over to the next game on the slate here and go over the Giants versus the Cowboys. And let's take a look at this fantasy depth chart. At the quarterback position, we have Daniel Jones and Dak Prescott. For the Giants, we have Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is somebody who, man, it's really hard to put a finger on, because Daniel Jones can have some really bad weeks and he can come in clutch with 30 plus points for you. So Daniel Jones going against the Cowboys defense, giving up the 4th least points to opposing fantasy quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is definitely going to be a sit for me this week. I think he's going to struggle. Looking over there, Dak Prescott, they had a blowout last week against the Vikings, and they did really well. Dak looked really good going against the Giants defense. They are giving up the 10th least points to opposing fantasy quarterbacks, but I think Dak Prescott's somebody you can definitely get into your lineups. Definitely be looking forward to him putting up some points against this Giants defense. Let's move over to the running back position. We're going to look at Saquon Barkley. Now, even though the Cowboys are giving up the 4th least points to fantasy points to opposing running backs, Saquon Barkley, I tell you guys all the time, week in and week out, start your studs. Saquon Barkley is an absolute stud. He's one of the best running backs in the league. He has some of the most fantasy points so far of all the running backs. Saquon Barkley, no matter who he's going against, you have to have a start. Yes, he had a hard week last week, but that doesn't matter. You'd never bench Saquon Barkley this week. Get him in your lineups against the Cowboys. On the other side, we have Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Ezekiel Elliott, you kind of see him going on a downward trend. Is he viable to start? Absolutely. More of an RB2 or flex type of guy. And the guy who on the uptrend is Tony Pollard. This guy is nasty. This dude's doing great. He's putting up a lot of points. He's actually outperforming Ezekiel Elliott. He has a better yard per touch. He makes things happen. He's got the young, fresh legs. He looks really good. It looks like he might even take over Ezekiel Elliott's role as the #1 running back after the end of the season. They might even let Elliott go. It's just one of those things that, yes, I think they're both starts. I would say Ezekiel Elliott is a start and Tony Pollard is a start, but I would rather take Pollard in this situation over Elliott if I had to, but Elliott would still be a good RB2 flex position, like I would say. Let's go ahead and move over to the wide receiver position on the Giants. It kind of looks like a bunch of puke, but we're going to talk about Darius Slayton. It should be the #1 target right there, with Wan'Dale Robinson being lost for the remainder of the season. With Darius Slayton, I think he can make it happen. He's going to have plenty of targets, especially against this Cowboys defense. They're kind of in the middle of the pack when it comes to fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. So somebody you could definitely attack here. Darius Slayton, Richie James could be a nice option, and then Kenny Golladay. I'll have Darius Slayton as a start, Richie James as a start, probably in a flex position or a wide receiver 3, and I would actually have a sit on Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay is just not really receiving the targets or the volume to be considered. Now, Kenny Golladay, could he get a lucky catch down the field? Absolutely. In a pinch, if you have to start him, I guess I wouldn't be opposed to that if you had nothing else better, but I would actually put him as a sit for me this week. Let's move over to the Cowboys wide receivers, and let's look at CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Noah Brown. CeeDee Lamb, always in that category. Start your studs. He's going against a Giants defense who's giving up the 6th least points to opposing wide receivers, but CeeDee Lamb's just somebody you need to start this guy. Dak Prescott's going to be able to throw the ball. He's going to be able to find some of his guys. I think CeeDee Lamb is definitely a start for me, and I'm having Michael Gallup as a sit and Noah Brown as a sit. I just think Michael Gallup and Noah Brown's not really doing anything fantasy wise. They may get 1 or 2 catches here, but it's not really for much, maybe just to move the change or so. CeeDee Lamb's really his go-to guy as far as the wide receivers go. Let's go ahead and move over to the tight end position, and we're talking about Lawrence Cager. Lawrence Cager should be the guy for this offense with Daniel Bellinger being out of service right now. Not really sure how long Bellinger is going to take to get back, but Lawrence Cager is the guy over there right now. I'd definitely say he is a sit. He's just not somebody that's prolific or putting up any fantasy points. Really not an option for this offense. Let's go over to the other side, looking at Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz is somebody who links up with Dak Prescott quite a bit. He's a solid target for Prescott. I think he's somebody that you could really look forward to putting up some solid fantasy production on Thursday for you. Dalton Schultz is definitely a start. Now let's move over to our third and final game this week. We're going to talk about the Patriots against the Vikings. And as we look over the fantasy depth chart here, let's go over the quarterback position first. We got Mac Jones and Kirk Cousins. Mac Jones going against a Vikings defense who's giving up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. He's somebody you can definitely get into your lineup and make some havoc if you have a bye week or you have somebody you need to fill in. Mac Jones is definitely could be a serviceable option. Yes, he's the very bottom of my totem pole of serviceable options, but somebody you can just get in based on the opposing defense. Now, Kirk Cousins going against a Patriots defense, giving up the 11th least points to opposing quarterbacks, but I think Kirk Cousins does have enough juice to kind of get it done against the Patriots, so Kirk Cousins is also a start. Let's go over the running back position, go over Rhamondre Stevenson and Damien Harris for the Patriots. Now, Rhamondre Stevenson has kind of taken the reins from Harris overall this season. I think he's becoming the clear #1 guy for this offense. He's looking really, really good. The Vikings are giving up the 10th most fantasy points to opposing running backs, and I think Rhamondre Stevenson is a clear start this week. Now we're looking at Damien Harris. Kind of, again, he's lost his job. He's really not being productive week in and week out. I would say Damien Harris is definitely a sit. Let's go on the other side, look at Dalvin Cook for the Vikings. Now, Dalvin Cook has a big name, but we really need to look at the numbers here. We got the Patriots giving up the least points per game to opposing running backs, and I know it may shock a lot of people, but he's just not been amazing this year. He's been serviceable, middle of the pack or what so, but Dalvin Cook is definitely a sit for me against the Patriots this week. As we're going over the wide receivers here, we're going to look at Jacoby Myers, we're going to look at Devontae Parker, and we're going to look at Nelson Agholor. Now, these guys is nothing you want to say, oh man, I want to go out there and start some of these guys. If I would have to say, maybe Jacoby Myers would be somebody that you can definitely look at. We got the Vikings defense who are giving up their 5th most points per game to opposing wide receivers. And I think Mac Jones is going to have to make something happen. I would definitely say Jacoby Myers is a start for me. I would say Devontae Parker and Nelson Agholor are sits. Now we move over to the other side of the ball. For the Vikings, we have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and KJ Osborne. Justin Jefferson is somebody, he's another stud. You start your studs. That's what you want to do. You got the Patriots defense who's giving up the 2nd least points to opposing wide receivers, but that doesn't matter. You don't sit Justin Jefferson, no matter what the type of defense is. Get him in your lineups. The other two we're talking about, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne. Again, the Patriots defense is very, very good against the pass. I would actually sit Adam Thielen and sit KJ Osborne. Now let's move over to the tight end position. First on the Patriots, we're talking about Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is going against a Vikings defense who's given up the 9th most points to opposing fantasy tight ends. Somebody you can probably say, hey, Hunter Henry, yeah, he's not the sexiest pick, but he's somebody that can probably get me some solid fantasy points, especially if you're looking for a tight end. You can definitely get Hunter Henry in your lineup. I'd say he is definitely a start. On the other side, we have TJ Hockenson. After coming over from the Lions, he's been absolutely on fire, going against a Patriots defense who's given up the 10th most points to opposing fantasy tight ends. TJ Hockenson might be one of my closest fantasy tight ends of the week here. Could be a Bengal Tiger start of the week if he was playing during the Sunday games, but TJ Hockenson is definitely somebody you want to get in your lineup. He is definitely a start for me. I think he is an amazing play this week, and I think you won't be happy if you sit TJ Hockenson. Definitely get him in your lineup and enjoy the points that he's going to be scoring for you this Thursday.